So Luna PNR dropped a new crazy theory, which is something that we've actually talked about before on the channel, and it's the egg on Roger's ship. We didn't know what to make of it, thought it was a creature, thought it even possibly could have been like a part of the ship, but Luna PNR thinks that it might have, you know, long story short, became Shanks's sword that he has right now. Yeah, so let's get into it, because the thing that reminds us of this actually is in the latest chapter. In the beginning, we see when the Roger pirates are encountering the Kuja pirates. This is like 48 years ago possibly, and they have the egg on their ship at this point. And there's also another point in the story, I don't remember exactly where this was, but 52 years ago when we do see the Roger pirates, they don't have the Oro Jackson or the egg. So that means sometime between 52 and 48 years ago, they got the Oro Jackson from Tom and they got the egg. So Oda likes to also adapt some things from his previous works into the story. Like for example, we saw Ryuma come into the story. Then that other gangster guy, was he a part of like Rox's crew or something?
Yeah, the gangster guy is Gil Bastar, and he later joins the Rox Pirates. He's like a very like subtle background character, and Oda was like, yeah guys, like in this SBS, I want to reveal that he was indeed a Rox pirate. It's like, okay, thanks Oda.
So another thing is Romance Dawn, maybe the most significant one. And in that story, there's this creature, or this like legendary bird called the Kaicho, or the rock, the legendary rock bird. Luna Piano essentially thinks that inside of this egg is like a bird. And I think that's what you speculated about too, Sai, like there was some kind of bird or something in the egg.
I speculated that it could be a bird, a dragon monster, just something of the sort. And it's funny because I don't want to spoil where this video is going, but I do believe that this could be tied to potentially an ancient weapon. I could even see.
Okay. That's right, I forgot, you did mention that as well. Luna PNR doesn't say anything about an ancient weapon, but it could be one and the same. Because if this thing, this egg, is a creature of some sort, it eventually does become a literal weapon, as we're going to talk about. But the thing is, it's like, where has this thing been all of this time? I mean, it still has to exist. Oda has been showing us it for a reason. So it's like, where is even the Oro Jackson? Well, it's possible it's at Elbaf, because that's where Gaban is. You know, Rayleigh obviously doesn't have it, or it doesn't seem like he does. So maybe Scopper has it at Elbaf. Maybe that's why he's there. Maybe it needs to be there. Maybe because it's so big or something. Not really sure. But we know that Shanks visits Elbaf a lot. He goes in and out of there. We saw him in the flashback, you know, at the beginning of this flashback of Harold and Loki. You know, Shanks was chilling with Scopper. So was he going there to tend on this possible bird that hatched from this egg? Because if it did hatch, it would have been within the last 12 to 5 years. Because apparently Shanks has different swords at some point in the story, which is really interesting. And I want to get your thoughts on this. So like, back when like Shanks meets Luffy, he has a different sword. And considering that this is like the very beginning of the story, I thought, oh, Oda just drew his sword Griffin differently. You know, it's like, oh, you know, makes sense. But it's like, if we go to the cover page of chapter 838, we see Shanks at like a wedding for some reason, and he has a different sword. Like, it has a different hilt on it than what Griffin does. And I don't think it was a mistake. So it's like, what do you make of that? What do you make of Shanks' two different swords that we see him have?
Yeah, personally, like, I feel like Shanks, like most pirates in One Piece, like, they upgrade their swords over time. I feel like it could just be a design thing. When we go back to, like, earlier One Piece, I feel like it could be the same sword, but just obviously upgraded over time via art style. But that doesn't negate the fact that as a child, though, it is a solid fact that Shanks did not have Griffin, right? When we see Shanks with the Roger Pirates, no Griffin at all. I think he was using like 2 swords even, and I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, you're right. He does get Griffin somewhere down the line, and I think it's interesting when you think about like how these swords function, right? It's a supreme grade blade, and a lot of swords in One Piece work in very odd manner. And I think where we're going with this is the theory that maybe the egg and the sword are connected, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I don't want to spoil it, so you want to get into it real quick?
Oh no, please, please take it.
All right, I'll rip off the band-aid. So it's going to be an art video. They said that the egg eventually hatches, and the egg is Shanks' sword. which sounds odd, but Shanks' sword is called Griffin. We saw that, when he was fighting Kid, a Griffin just like manifested behind him. It was like a hockey Griffin. I don't know what to call it. Obviously, that's not in the manga, and then we also have Film Red, where Shanks used an attack, again, not canon, not in the manga, but when he attacked there, like an eagle popped out from behind him. And that's like, okay, it's something with Shanks and birds. It just goes hand in hand, really, right? So Lunapian Art is saying that the egg hatches into a rock, which is the bird from Romance Dawn. Go back. I think his name is Balloon, specifically. A one-piece balloon. It is a rock that the prototype Nami had. It's like the Nami with blue hair that I'm sure everybody's familiar with. I think her name was Anne. And yes, they're saying that, yes, the egg hatched, became the sword, and Shanks can use his sword in the same manner as Shamrock. Shamrock has a blade, but it's also a Cerberus. So Shanks would be in that same vein, where his sword would be an actual griffin, or maybe even a rock, or any bird-type creature, and that originated from Roger's egg. And that would explain where it's been the entire time, right? Shanks has been simply taking care of it. And funny that we talk about Shanks and Elbaf too, because in the mural, we see this like dragon bird creature at the very top shooting fire. And it's like, okay, like I wonder if that exists in the heaven realm. Maybe it's dead current day. We don't know what's up with that weird monstrosity. But when you think about this theory and the whole notion that Shanks might have this legendary rock monster, that could just be Shanks and his sword. Like, oh, like because he defends Elbaf, because Elbaf is like his quote home base. Yeah, like that's him. You mess with Elbaf, you get attacked by Shanks's griffin sword monster thing, which I think is kind of fun. This is still a mystery, but Shanks has somehow traveled from the New World to Marineford in a single day. The Marines mentioned that when he showed up, like, wait, how is Redhaired here? He just fought Kaido yesterday. Like, that was an anomaly. And that's when Oda first teased the idea that Shamrock existed. Because somebody said, hey, Oda, does he have a twin brother? And Oda was like, oh, I'm not answering that. That is where that comes from. And even with the twin brother thing, that still, like, doesn't exactly solve it. Like, oh, did Shamrock fight Kaido and then Shanks came here? Like, that still doesn't make sense, which could be true, actually. If we take away Shanks, maybe it was Shamrock, but for the theory, though, for the theory's sake, we're saying that it was Shanks, and the reason why he was able to travel all the way to Marineford is because his sword blew him over there, which I don't think is absurd. I have a theory that's kind of close to that. Mine is that Shanks is the Griffin, but this is saying the sword is the Griffin instead, which, like I said, it's fun all around. I love the whole notion that Shanks, as a celestial dragon, can transform like his brother's sword and like the Gorosei in a way. I think it fits, but that's just me. Sorry, long-winded rant, but there you go, Zhoniin.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm on board with it too. There's something to it because its name is Griffin, and then we have that hockey Griffin, that's Usano. That's like the real big selling point. And also, we recently saw that Shamrock does have the Cerberus fruit, or had his sword eat the Cerberus fruit. Opposite, it would be that he fed a devil fruit to this Griffin or this rock creature that allowed it to become a sword. And we've seen that also before with Spandam, Funkfried, his elephant sword thing. And if it's not a devil fruit, then it just could be the ability of this rock or griffin creature. And then, yeah, that's how he's getting around. It's flying the ship, because we saw at the beginning of Elbaf, that Mugen bird thing, that was flying, the Straw Hat ship into Elbaf. So, man, if Shanks and the Red Hair Pirates are getting around on that thing, because, like you said, they made that comment about how he's getting there so fast, him getting to Marineford, him fighting Kaido, and then stopping the war. And then, recently, or a couple years ago, we saw him show up to Wano randomly and stop Ryokuyu. I mean, yeah, that was promoting Film Red. That's why he was there. But him getting there so fast and then just piecing out, just the bird, it would be cool. I would be on board with it. Yeah. And it also makes you wonder, like, okay, so if he's fighting and you push him to the point of where he has to activate the sword to become the Griffin, it's like, what is he doing at that point? Is he like fighting with his fist? Does he pull out his gun that's implied that he has because he had it in that game? Not sure, but let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe to Sai. Have them linked in the description. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, guys.